Regan Slaymaker for International Boxing News in association with Vote Boxing. I'm joined by the gladiator, Willy Gilheaney. Willy, how you doing today, mate?
Very good, mate. Thank you. How's yourself?
Uh, I am very well, thank you. Great to have you on the channel. For those who don't know, you're widely talked about as well. Wales's best kept secret, 6 national titles. I mean, 6 more national titles than I've achieved, mate. I'm not being
Yeah.
funny, but how do you feel when you look back on your amateur achievements?
You know what? I really enjoyed my amateur career. I thought it was brilliant, but I feel like I should have really done better, to be honest. I wasn't as dedicated as what I am now, and I lost a lot of fights because of that. I think I would have, to be honest, I think I would have stayed unbeaten if I was a bit more dedicated.
Definitely, mate.
I would
How
have done more.
what's made that change? Obviously, I've been told kind of you did fall out of love with the sport a little bit and for a time, but what's brought you back and what's given you that dedication now?
Well, to be honest, I fell out of love with the sport a little bit. When I got married, obviously, you do different things. You're out working, you try to provide for your family then, basically. And obviously, I fell out of love with the sport. I was drinking. I wasn't dedicated at all. I was doing more weightlifting than boxing, really. And I was one of them people on the couch, maybe that one of the, I was watching the boxing and I was thinking, fuck, I could do that. Do you mean? Sorry to swear, but
It's
I
all
was
right.
thinking, you know what? I could do that myself. And yeah, I went back to the gym. Not, I wasn't even training to be honest. I went back. I put my little brothers, but they box all the time, and I put them up. And Enzo Maccarinelli's my trainer, and he called me in for a round on the pads. And I was just, to be honest, I was after a minute, I was blowing up my ass. But you mean just that little minute there? I thought, you know what, this is for, I should be in here. You mean? And I just fell back in love with the sport ever since. Just been killing it like in the gym or
What would
trying to
it?
anyway.
No, definitely, mate. What was that? Obviously, Enzo Maccarinelli, obviously world champion, one of Wales's kind of. I think it's been less than 10 world champions. I mean, any nerves when Enzo pulls you back into the gym for a little bit of pad work?
Well, to be honest, when I turned up there, I had a bit of a chest infection. I had a bit of a hangover, and I thought, oh no, not this now. He said, come on. He said, we'll do a round on the pads. But to be honest with you, he is good on the pads, even though I give him a bit of stick sometimes. Like
I
he's
was
all right
gonna
in the pads.
I was gonna say you've mentioned that, and obviously, I mean, what a fighter to train alongside. I mean, and like kind of obviously, I've seen a few the interview you've interviewed with IFL. You've mentioned that you've known Enzo. You knew his dad for a long time as well. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I know you probably just answered that, but being around those type of people, what is it like training with Enzo?
You know what? Enzo's one of those people. He's accomplished everything as a boxer, but he wants to do it all as a trainer as well. Do you mean? When when I was a kid, like when I first started boxing, it was Enzo's dad Mario was my trainer, my original trainer, and I was one of his favorite pupils. Do you mean? I was one of them. I listened to everything. He didn't have to tell me twice. Do you mean? So he had a soft spot for me basically. And Enzo's dad was like he wanted me, to be like to go more into the sport where I didn't really have the dedication at the time. But now I think that I'm showing that dedication. I'm showing the love for the sport. Do you mean? I think Enzo sees it now, and he thinks, do you mean I can carry on my dad's legacy? Do you mean I
Mm.
fulfill like what should have been? Do you mean? But he's a nuisance in the gym. Like he's one of them, but he's all right as well.
Is he as much of a nuisance as he is on Twitter on the daily? Is it or more
Oh,
so?
he loves a debate. Don't get me wrong, he does. He loves a debate, and he's a Man United fan as well.
Oh, someone's got to support Manu. Someone's got to
Oh, we
support
all make mistakes sometimes, don't
Definitely,
we?
definitely. What would you say the one thing kind of that Enzo does do in the gym? Obviously, you mentioned his pad work there. What's the one thing that kind of you go home at the end of the day and go, "God, Enzo's taught me that today." What's the one thing that stays with you?
Enzo's body shot, and his liver shot, like that left hook to the body is just unreal. And he's been teaching me like how to set it up and things like that. Do you mean? It's a cracking shot. But obviously, I'm still not as good as him at setting it up. Like, but he's teaching me them little things and every like certain little things what you take from professionals, like what he's learned over his professional career, and he's teaching me. And obviously, I can't see it, but when he's teaching me, then obviously then I can look for it. Then do you mean? But that little setup, how he does things is just awesome.
Perfect. Really slowing it down
Mm.
so you can see why you're doing it as
Of
well.
course, yeah, yeah. It's a
Perfect. And
pleasure to be in the gym with him, to be honest.
I'd imagine I was in Cardiff for Joe Cordina's fight and I didn't get to run into him then. But I wish hopefully one day I can.
Yeah,
But no, straight into it. Obviously, you mentioned your pro debut. should be around July time. Obviously, you're working hard in the gym, kind of
Yeah,
campaigning it around middle to super middleweight.
I think my first fight is going to be a super middleweight. Yeah.
Perfect. What can people expect from your debut in July?
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, but I'm a fan friendly kind of fighter. Do you mean I get drawn into a fight like I love a good fight? Do you mean? And plus, I'm a big puncher as well, so I think people can expect knockouts like from my fights from my career, like when it starts off. You
Per
mean?
Perfect. And kind of obviously bringing that fan friendly style. Everyone loves that, and obviously.
Yeah,
What would you say? I know it's a bit of a hard question to ask. You don't want to sound too cocky when you answer this
yeah,
question,
yeah.
but if there was one fighter that you'd want to associate your style with, who would that be?
I know probably Enzo's not going to like this, but I think Roy Jones Jr. He was just I based my full style off him. I absolutely loved him. You mean he's class? He was elusive. He had very good power. He could set the shots up lovely. He was stylish. You mean I've based my full career, like my full boxing style, off him. But I do like a sprinkle of Muhammad Ali as well. I do love him.
I mean, if
Right?
you can combine a sprinkle of Muhammad Ali with Roy Jones Jr., mate, I think you'll go undefeated for a very long
Hope
time.
so, mate. I hope so.
But no, but we're looking forward to it. Your pro debut in July, on
Thank you very much.
obviously into the professional ranks. Obviously, super middleweight, obviously huge division across the years, obviously. But on Saturday night, I think the biggest fight in the super middleweight division, obviously Canelo Alvarez versus John Ryder. Kind of, I want to get your thoughts on it as a super middleweight
Yeah,
campaign
yeah,
on your first fight.
yeah.
How do you see that fight? Obviously, John Ryder, the Brit, going over there. What do you think of that fight? How do you see that fight going?
I think John Ryder. I think he's a very good boxer, but I think just Canelo's just one of them fighters that's just especially at super middleweight. I think he's going to take some beating. Do you mean? I think if he goes back up to 175, I think there's still hard fights with Bivol and all, but I do think he'll do better in the rematch. But with John Ryder, I think he'll start off good. He'll probably outbox Canelo for a couple of rounds because he's sharp. Do you mean he's southpaw as well? I think Canelo struggles with a southpaw. But I think as Canelo starts to wear him down, do you mean starts them counter punches and then heavy body shots and stuff? I think he'll take his toll. I think Canelo will stop him by 8, 9 rounds.
Hey, no, mate.
Personally.
I think George Groves and Deck Taylor were saying something similar. So you're not too far off with that company, mate.
Yeah,
But no, and kind of what fighters are obviously around that weight? Obviously, Calzaghe's around was around that weight. But what fighters do you like watching? Do you like watching super middleweights, or do you like watching kind of the lower weights?
I do like super middleweights. I like light heavyweights and super middleweights. They were like, you mean there's some good boys in that thing. I got to be honest, I did like watching Calzaghe, but I also like watching Carl Froch as well. I thought Froch was very good. You mean he was a really gutsy fighter? He loved the tussle, didn't he?
Mm.
Um, I like Andre Ward was good. He was a great boxer, brilliant boxer. Everybody really. Obviously, I love the heavyweights. The heavyweights are the main attraction, and they really. You mean?
Definitely. If obviously you've got Calzaghe and Froch. Obviously, there's a bit of beef, which I find
Yeah,
always a
yeah.
bit weird. Retired fighters. How if both of them fought prime on prime, who would you pick in both of those?
I do. I really like Froch as well as a person, not only as a boxer, but as a person. I find him really funny. I do. But I got to be honest, Calzaghe was just different gravy, wasn't he? I think
He
Calzaghe
was.
would have beat him. I think it'd have been too much fun. And obviously, personal talking like with the likes of Enzo and all that, they know Calzaghe. Obviously, he's trained with him and inspired him loads of times. And he said he's a very big puncher, especially for his weight. You know what I mean? So I think
Uh,
I think I think it would have been a good fight, very good fight.
yeah.
But I think Calzaghe would have got to him in the end. I think it'd have stopped
De
him late on.
Definitely, and I think from recent interviews, I think Calzaghe thinks exactly the same as what you were saying as
Yeah,
well. And if you haven't watched it, if you want to ever see Carl Froch, I think peak Carl Froch, the George Groves Boxing Club episode with him talking to George Groves, just basically patronizing George Groves on how he knocked
yeah.
him out in the second fight is absolutely hilarious, mate.
Oh, he's
But
awesome to watch. I like watching him.
he is very funny. I think the recent Conor McGregor stuff's quite good as well. Um,
Yeah,
but mate, great. Obviously, great to talk boxing with you, Willie. I've got
yeah,
one final question. Obviously, probably going to get a bit of a different answer from yourself. Obviously, where you kind
yeah.
of did fall out of love with the sport. But now, when you're going into your professional debut, what does boxing mean to you?
Boxing means everything to me. To be honest, even when I was up, like even when I wasn't training at all, do you mean I was still watching boxing every day? Do you mean it's my life? I love boxing. But to come back into the sport and actually get a chance to go professional, do you mean? I want to thank Enzo as well for trying to help me out to do that, do you mean? And to be honest with you, I can't wait to get in the ring. I mean,
Perfect, mate.
boxing to me is literally the best sport in the world.
Perfect, and it is to us as well, mate. And we can't wait to see your professional debut, Willy.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much today, and yeah, look forward to seeing you in the ring soon.
Thank you very much, mate. God bless you.